It is enough. Today we have the story of Elijah from the Hebrew Scriptures, where Elijah has been so obedient. Elijah has been so faithful and has done everything that God has asked him to do. In fact, Elijah has just turned the Israelites back to God in a dramatic public demonstration. And he brought rain to end a 3-year drought in Samaria. And yet Elijah is done. He is exhausted. He is in despair. He has had it. And he leaves. He leaves the city and goes out and travels to another place. He is afraid of the consequences of his actions. He is tired. He is just done with the work that he has been given to do. And he ends up underneath a broom tree. Now, you may not know this, but a broom tree is a little bit symbolic in our scriptures. This is not the first or only time that someone has ended up under a broom tree. Hagar has ended up under a broom tree in a similar situation of despair after being abused for getting pregnant by the wrong person. And Job, that biblical prophet who is infamous for his despairing nature, finds himself under a broom tree. And today Elijah finds himself under that broom tree. He is done. He's had enough. Have you ever felt that way? Perhaps this morning when you woke up and saw the news? What do we do when we find ourselves under that proverbial broom tree? When we have been obedient, when we have been faithful, when we have done what God has asked us to do, and yet the world still seems to be coming crashing down all around us. You know who I know has this moment on a regular basis? Kiddos. Have you ever seen a kid have a tantrum? No, just me? I find that hard to believe. Elijah is here having his little tantrum. He's done. He's had it. It's enough. The world is crashing down. He is tired of listening to God. He's under this broom tree, and if you have kiddos, you know part of the solution to that state of mind, don't you? A nap and a snack. Am I right, parents? Grandparents? Yeah. A nap and a snack. And that is exactly what Elijah gets under that broom tree. The angel of the Lord meets him where he is. The angel of the Lord finds him in his exhaustion, in his fear, in his despair, under that broom tree, and watches over Elijah while he takes a nap. And then Elijah wakes up, and the angel of the Lord provides him with water and some cake, a snack. And then, rinse and repeat, he does it again. Elijah falls back asleep and wakes up once again, and the angel invites him to eat some more so that he can be replenished and refreshed. But that broom tree is also not the end. Once Elijah has perked up a little bit after his tantrum, after he's had his nap and his snack, he then goes to Mount Horeb, also often known as Mount Sinai, where Moses met God. Perhaps he is traveling there hoping to have his own face-to-face encounter with God, like Moses did. He goes up the mountain and finds a cave, and he waits there, waiting for the Lord to pass by. And God does. First, he experiences an earthquake, but God is not in the earthquake. And then he experiences a great wind, but God is also not in the wind. And then he experiences fire, but God is also not in the fire. 3 examples of divine power that he gets to witness, and yet none of them are God's self. And then Elijah hears a sheer silence. He hears a sheer silence, and in the midst of that silence, a voice. But this is not just any voice, this is the voice of God. And in the Hebrew, it's not just any voice, it's a daughter of a voice, an echo, perhaps, Elijah hears this voice of God, which is perhaps not the booming voice that we often imagine God to have, but this little voice, this female voice, speaking to him not in these massive versions of divine power, but in the silence. In the silence, Elijah hears God's voice speaking to him. And in that moment, God not only meets Elijah once again where he is in his fear and his despair, but encourages him and renews his vocation and sends Elijah back out to do the work that he has been given to do, to go back out in his vocation as a prophet. And he does. He goes on after the end of this story to find an apprentice who will eventually be his successor in the line of prophets. He goes back out to do that work because he has met God. He has gotten his nap, he's gotten his snack, and he has spoken with God and been refreshed and replenished and renewed. And now he can go back out. And God, I think, also meets us in those moments of fear and despair and exhaustion. God also cares for us, not unlike a parent caring for a child who is throwing a tantrum, when we find ourselves under that proverbial broom tree, when we find ourselves in the midst of our own tantrums, as the world seems to come crashing down around us, despite how faithful we may or may not have been. God meets us in those moments and loves us and shows us that same care that God shows Elijah on that day, giving us our own versions of a nap and a snack and the encouragement that we too need in order to feel replenished and refreshed and renewed in our own individual vocations so that we too can go back out into the world, so that we too can continue on our way to continue to proclaim that gospel of love to the other people in the world around us that need to hear it the most. Where is your broom tree? Where do you go when you need to throw that tantrum? Where do you go when you need to be found in those moments by God, to be loved on, to be cared for, to get your own nap and snack and encouragement? Perhaps it is an actual location somewhere here, or perhaps it is a posture within yourself, a posture of prayer, a particular way of praying, going to the arts or to music in order to find God and feel refreshed and renewed and prepared to go back out. There's not really that much silence in our world anymore to hear that still small voice of God as it speaks to Elijah. It can be hard to find silence, especially if you have little ones running around in your house. I have a niece and a nephew, I know. It's really hard to talk to my brother on the phone these days. But where do you find those moments of silence and stillness? Where do you go? Where do you find within yourself those moments in order to not just know that God loves you, but to actually feel God's love, to feel God's care, to be still and quiet enough to hear that voice of God providing the encouragement that you need in those moments? We all have that place. And if you can't think of it right now, perhaps you'll figure it out as you ponder this week. We all have those places that we go, the people that we find, that we know will show us the love and care of God, the activities that we do that we know we will receive love and care and replenishment from, so that we too, like Elijah, can not just know that God loves us, but feel that love in real and tangible ways, so that we, like Elijah, can hear the voice of God encouraging us and sending us back out after a nap and a snack and some encouragement, replenished and refreshed and renewed in our own vocations to share God's love to all the world.